Shockwaves are moving through the political world today after a dramatic and unexpected announcement from the Labour Party. Angela Rayner, one of the most high-profile figures in the party and a central voice in the leadership team, has resigned from her position. This resignation, which no one saw coming at this moment, has not only left Labour scrambling, but has also forced a rapid and decisive reshuffle at the very top of British politics. In an extraordinary turn of events, David Lammy has now been confirmed as the new Deputy Prime Minister, a move that instantly changes the power dynamics inside Labour and across Westminster. This shakeup is being described as one of the most significant changes in recent memory, a moment that could define the party's future as it prepares for the challenges ahead. The story has unfolded with an urgency that feels almost cinematic. For days, there were quiet whispers about possible tensions inside Labour, but few expected it to end with Angela Rayner stepping down so suddenly. Her departure has created an immediate vacuum, and in politics, vacuums never stay empty for long. The decision to bring David Lammy into the role is both bold and controversial. Bold because it signals Labour's determination to put a strong communicator and experienced political figure at the heart of its leadership. Controversial because Lammy, while respected by many, has also been a lightning rod for criticism at times, with his outspoken style and willingness to take strong positions on divisive issues. This appointment is more than just a reshuffle. It is a declaration of intent. It signals that Labour under Keir Starmer is prepared to move fast, adapt quickly, and take risks in order to project unity and strength. With elections always looming on the horizon and public opinion fragile, the party could not afford weeks of uncertainty. Instead, within hours of Rayner's resignation, Starmer made it clear that Lammy would step in, ensuring that Labour's leadership machine continues to run without hesitation. The announcement has electrified political circles. Some commentators are calling it a masterstroke, pointing out Lammy's years of experience, his ability to connect with communities, and his reputation as a passionate defender of justice and equality. Others warn that this is a gamble, that his confrontational style might alienate parts of the electorate, and that filling Rayner's shoes will not be easy. What cannot be denied, however, is the scale of the shake-up. The Deputy Prime Minister role is not just symbolic, it is a position of real influence. In just a single day, the political landscape has shifted. Angela Rayner's departure has opened the door for a new chapter, and David Lammy has walked through it with determination. The question now is how this change will impact Labour's future. Will it strengthen the party's leadership team and help present a united front to the country, or will it deepen internal debates and divisions? For now, all eyes are on David Lammy, a man who has spent decades in politics, suddenly thrust into one of the most powerful positions in the nation. His every word, his every move, will now be under scrutiny as he begins his new role at the very top of government. To understand the scale of this political moment, it is important to look closely at Angela Rayner's resignation and the reasons that led to it. Angela Rayner has long been seen as one of the most dynamic figures in Labour, a woman whose rise from a working-class background to the heights of political power has inspired many. She has been celebrated for her blunt honesty, her ability to connect with ordinary people, and her no-nonsense approach to politics. But behind the strong image and powerful speeches, pressure had been building for some time. That shapes strategy, messaging, and decision-making at the highest levels of government. Reports suggest that tensions within the Labour leadership had been rising in recent weeks. Angela Rayner had faced criticism from both outside and inside her party. Some felt that she had become a distraction, with controversies over her comments, her political style, and her relationship with the wider leadership team. Others argue that she was unfairly targeted, that her plain-spoken honesty was turned against her by those who preferred polished, cautious messaging. Whatever the truth, it became clear that there was a growing rift between Rayner and some of her colleagues, a rift that ultimately made her position increasingly difficult to hold. Her resignation letter, while formal, carried a tone of deep frustration. She insisted that she remained committed to Labour's values, but acknowledged that she could no longer continue in her role without it damaging the party's unity. This is perhaps the most telling part of her decision. Angela Rayner has always spoken about loyalty to the people she represents, and her stepping down appears to have been motivated by a desire to prevent further distraction or division at a time when Labour needs to project strength. The reaction to her resignation has been intense. Supporters have expressed shock and sadness, describing her as a crucial voice for working people and a symbol of resilience. Critics, on the other hand, have suggested that her departure was inevitable, claiming she had become too outspoken and too independent in a leadership team that demands discipline and unity. Political opponents from other parties have also seized on the news, some framing it as proof of disarray within Labour, others offering respect for her decision to step aside. Rayner's departure has also left a major question mark about the balance of power within Labour. She was not just a deputy in name, but a figure with her own political base, her own following, and her own influence across the party. Losing that voice creates both risk and opportunity. For Keir Starmer, it removes a potential rival within the leadership structure, but also removes someone who had a unique ability to connect with grassroots supporters. For Labour as a whole, it forces a rethink of how the party communicates with its base and how it presents itself to the wider public. Ultimately, Angela Rayner's resignation is not just about one politician stepping down. It represents a shift in the internal dynamics of Labour at a crucial time. With the party seeking to position itself as a government in waiting, any sign of division is dangerous. By resigning, Rayner may have hoped to protect Labour from further internal fights, but in doing so, she has opened the door to an equally challenging question. Can her replacement, David Lammy, bring both stability and momentum? That is the backdrop against which this dramatic change is unfolding, and it sets the stage for the next chapter in Labour's leadership story. David Lammy's rise to the position of Deputy Prime Minister is not the result of sudden fortune, but the culmination of a long and often challenging journey through the world of politics. Born in Tottenham, North London, Lammy's story is deeply rooted in the experiences of working-class families and communities that have faced social, economic, and cultural challenges for generations. His personal background has shaped his political voice, giving him a perspective that resonates with many who feel unheard in national debates. From his earliest days in Parliament, Lammy has consistently positioned himself as a passionate advocate for equality, justice, and opportunity. His journey reflects both resilience and ambition, two qualities that now define his entry into one of the highest offices in government. Lammy first became widely recognised when he entered Parliament at a relatively young age, one of the youngest MPs at the time. Representing Tottenham, an area known for its diversity, but also for its struggles with unemployment, housing, and inequality, Lammy quickly established himself as a fierce campaigner. He gained respect for speaking out on issues often overlooked by mainstream political debate, whether it was the treatment of young people in disadvantaged communities, the legacy of colonialism, or the need for stronger measures to tackle racial and social injustice. His voice carried a moral weight that resonated far beyond his constituency, making him one of the most distinctive figures in Labour politics. Over the years, Lammy's reputation has been built on his ability to combine sharp intellect with emotional conviction. He has never been afraid to take bold positions, even when they provoked controversy. For instance, he has frequently challenged governments on their handling of immigration, criminal justice, and education policy. At times, his comments have sparked heated debate, with critics accusing him of being too confrontational, but supporters argue that his willingness to speak truth to power is exactly what makes him an effective politician. This combination of fearlessness and clarity has allowed Lammy to carve out a space as both a respected policymaker and a powerful public communicator. His political career has also been marked by moments of national prominence. During the Grenfell Tower tragedy, Lammy's passionate speeches captured the grief and anger of a community demanding answers. His words cut through political noise, highlighting systemic failures and the lack of accountability from those in power. Similarly, during debates about Brexit, Lammy emerged as one of the strongest voices opposing the direction of policy, warning about the risks to the economy, communities, and international reputation. While these interventions sometimes placed him at odds with segments of the electorate, they also cemented his image as a politician guided by principle rather than convenience. Beyond his parliamentary contributions, Lammy has built a reputation as a thinker and writer. His books and essays have explored questions of identity, belonging, and justice, allowing him to reach audiences outside the typical political sphere. These works have given him a credibility that extends beyond the immediate political arena, making him a voice that academics, activists, and ordinary citizens listen to when debates about race, class, and fairness arise. This intellectual depth adds another layer to his political persona, strengthening his claim to leadership roles within the party. The path to Deputy Prime Minister has also required Lammy to navigate the complex world of party politics. Within Labour, he has had both allies and opponents. Some have admired his independence of thought, while others have viewed it as a potential challenge to party unity. Over time, however, Lammy has shown an ability to adapt, working closely with Keir Starmer and aligning himself with the broader vision of the leadership without losing his distinctive voice. This balance between loyalty to the party and commitment to his principles has been one of the key reasons he emerged as a strong candidate for a senior leadership position when Angela Rayner stepped down. Now, with his appointment as Deputy Prime Minister, Lammy's long career takes on a new weight. This is not just another step up the ladder. It is the moment when everything he has worked for will be tested under the brightest spotlight. Every decision he makes, every word he speaks, will now carry the authority of high office and the scrutiny of the nation. His journey from Tottenham to the top of government is both inspiring and demanding. A story that captures the possibilities of British politics, while also reminding us of the pressures that come with power. David Lammy's political journey is therefore more than a personal biography. It is the foundation upon which Labour now hopes to build its future. His appointment signals a belief that his voice, his experience, and his vision are essential as the party prepares for the battles ahead. It is a journey that speaks not only of ambition fulfilled, but of responsibility accepted, and it sets the stage for how Lammy will shape the next chapter of Britain's political story. Angela Rayner's resignation and David Lammy's sudden appointment as Deputy Prime Minister have created one of the most dramatic shifts inside Labour's leadership team in recent years. For a party that has been carefully trying to project unity and stability under Keir Starmer, this shakeup represents both a major risk and a significant opportunity. At the heart of this moment is the delicate balance of personalities, ambitions, and loyalties that define any political organisation. When one senior figure steps down, the entire structure has to readjust, and the ripple effects can be felt in every corner of the party. Lammy's rise is not just about filling a vacancy, it is about reshaping the very dynamics of power within Labour. Angela Rayner had long been considered one of the strongest counterweights inside Starmer's leadership circle. She brought a different style, a different tone, and a different constituency of supporters. Her departure leaves a gap that is not easily replaced, even with someone as experienced as David Lammy stepping in. Where Rayner was often seen as the voice of grassroots energy, Lammy is being positioned as the voice of authority, discipline, and policy focus. This contrast highlights the strategic direction Labour seems to be taking. By placing Lammy in such a senior role, Starmer is signalling that the party will emphasise stability, seriousness, and credibility in the months ahead, especially as pressure builds before the next general election. Inside Labour, this change has already triggered a realignment of roles and responsibilities. Figures who were once closely associated with Rayner will need to find their footing again, while those who have long supported Lammy's positions may find themselves with greater influence. This kind of reshuffle often leads to quiet manoeuvring behind the scenes, as MPs and advisors reassess their alliances. The leadership team, which had already been walking a careful line between unity and diversity of voices, now faces the task of integrating Lammy's assertive style without alienating those who admired Rayner's plain-spoken authenticity. For Starmer, this requires careful political management, ensuring that the party presents strength to the public even while adjusting internally. The appointment also raises important questions about Labour's image. For months, critics have accused the party of being too cautious, too focused on avoiding mistakes rather than taking bold stands. Lammy's arrival at the top changes that narrative somewhat. He is known for being outspoken, for not shying away from confrontation, and for speaking with passion. This could help Labour project energy and decisiveness at a time when voters are searching for strong leadership. On the other hand, it could also reignite debates within the party about tone and approach, especially if Lammy's style clashes with the quieter, lawyer-like method often preferred by Starmer. Beyond internal politics, the reshuffle also has symbolic value. In British politics, leadership changes often act as signals to the public. By promoting Lammy, Labour is presenting itself as a party that values experience, diversity, and conviction. Lammy's background and his years of advocacy send a message about the kind of Britain Labour wants to build. His appointment tells supporters that the party is serious about addressing issues of justice, fairness, and opportunity. But it also gives opponents an easy line of attack, with critics already suggesting that the reshuffle is evidence of instability and internal conflict. For Labour, the challenge is to frame this as renewal rather than crisis. For the wider Labour team, the shake-up will demand discipline. Every shadow minister, every spokesperson will need to adapt to the new reality of Lammy at the centre of power. This means aligning messaging, avoiding public splits, and projecting confidence in the new arrangement. Political history shows that reshuffles can either reinvigorate a party or destabilise it further. The outcome depends not only on the abilities of the new appointee, but also on how the rest of the team responds. If Lammy can assert leadership while fostering collaboration, the party could emerge stronger. If tensions escalate, however, Labour risks sending the signal of disunity at precisely the wrong time. In many ways, this leadership change feels like a gamble taken under pressure. Rayner's resignation forced Starmer's hand, and appointing Lammy was both a practical solution and a bold statement. The coming weeks will reveal whether this gamble pays off. Will Labour's leadership team find a new equilibrium with Lammy in place, or will the shake-up deepen old divides? For now, what is certain is that Labour has entered a new phase of its leadership story, one that will be defined not by the departure of Angela Rayner alone, but by how David Lammy and Keir Starmer together steer the party forward. The announcement of Angela Rayner's resignation and David Lammy's swift promotion to Deputy Prime Minister has unleashed a storm of reactions across the political landscape, in the media and among the public. Within hours of the news breaking, social media platforms lit up with debates, trending hashtags, and thousands of comments from both supporters and critics. This kind of reaction is not unusual when there is a sudden reshuffle at the top of government, but the intensity here reflects just how significant both Rayner and Lammy have become in the eyes of the nation. Rayner had been a figure who inspired loyalty and admiration, and her resignation left many of her supporters feeling shocked and even betrayed. At the same time, Lammy's appointment has energised others who see his promotion as a bold move that could bring a new level of clarity and strength to Labour's leadership team. Mainstream media outlets immediately picked up on the story, devoting front-page headlines, extended coverage and analysis to the political earthquake inside Labour. Some newspapers framed the shake-up as a sign of weakness in Keir Starmer's leadership, pointing to Rayner's departure as evidence of underlying tensions that the party has failed to resolve. Others chose a more optimistic angle, portraying Lammy's rise as a chance for renewal, a moment that could reinvigorate Labour and give it the energy it needs ahead of the next election. Television commentators and political analysts lined up to weigh in, with opinions sharply divided. Some praised Lammy's passion and intellect, calling him a strong communicator who can connect with voters in ways others cannot. Critics, however, warned that his outspoken style could create new problems, especially in an era when voters often demand cautious, measured leadership. Among Labour supporters, reactions have been mixed but deeply emotional. Many grassroots activists expressed sadness at Rayner's departure, describing her as someone who understood their struggles and gave them a voice in high politics. For them, losing her feels like losing a champion. Yet for others within the same movement, Lammy's appointment represents a chance to reframe Labour's message, to bring issues like social justice and equality back to the centre of national debate. These supporters believe Lammy's ability to speak with urgency and conviction could be a powerful asset, especially against political opponents who have often criticised Labour for lacking energy or direction. Opposition parties wasted no time in reacting either. Conservatives highlighted the shake-up as a sign of Labour chaos, suggesting that Starmer cannot hold his team together. They described the resignation as a crack in Labour's carefully polished image of unity, hoping to use it as ammunition in the battle for public trust. Liberal Democrats and smaller parties also weighed in, with some praising Rayner's contribution and others questioning whether Lammy is the right choice for such a critical role. Political opponents know that leadership reshuffles can unsettle voters, and they are already working to frame the event in ways that damage Labour's credibility. Public opinion is equally divided. Ordinary citizens, whether commenting online or speaking to reporters, seem to mirror the split seen among politicians and journalists. Some are relieved to see Lammy step into the role, believing he will bring energy, intellect, and authenticity to government. They see his career as evidence of resilience and commitment, qualities that might make him more relatable to voters tired of polished but disconnected politicians. Others, however, are wary. They question whether Lammy's confrontational approach will work in such a senior position, and wonder if this reshuffle is a sign of instability rather than progress. For many, the question is not just about Lammy's capability, but about whether Labour as a whole can remain steady and focused during a time of change. International media outlets have also taken notice. Newspapers in Europe and beyond have reported on the shake-up, often highlighting Lammy's outspoken positions on foreign policy, race relations and Brexit. His appointment is being framed as a turning point that could alter how Britain presents itself on the world stage, especially if Labour takes power in the near future. For global observers, the story is less about party politics and more about how Britain's leadership might evolve under figures like Lammy. This broader attention underscores the significance of the change, reminding everyone that the Deputy Prime Minister role carries not just domestic influence, but international weight. In the end, the public and media reactions reveal a nation fascinated, divided, and uncertain about the path ahead. Angela Rayner's resignation struck an emotional chord, while David Lammy's rise has ignited passionate debate. The mix of praise and criticism reflects the complexity of politics itself. Every bold move attracts both admiration and doubt. For Labour, the key challenge now is to turn this divided reaction into momentum, using Lammy's appointment not as a source of further division, but as a rallying point for unity. Whether the party succeeds in that task will shape how this political story is remembered in the months and years to come.